Good morning, and welcome to Chapel Chat. I'm Pastor Kevin Little, and this is the chapel here at Rantoul First United Methodist Church. Now, I know it's November, and we're past Halloween, but I have one more spooky tale to share. This morning, I've been thinking about the term relevance, and what it means for the church. Webster's dictionary defines the word relevance as relating to the matter at hand, or practical and especially social applicability. In other words, if we're having a conversation about the socio-economical ramifications of the destruction of the Death Star, and you throw in a statement saying Star Trek is better than Star Wars, we'll both have to first agree to disagree, and then also determine whether or not that statement is actually relevant to our conversation about a fairly narrow topic that doesn't actually involve Star Trek in any way. But rather than chase that rabbit, and believe me, I can, let's get back to the topic at hand. Is the church relevant to today's world? Now, I can already hear you guys saying, yes, of course it is. Jesus is always relevant. And I agree. God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are always relevant, as is the message of grace and salvation that we place our faith in. But God isn't the church, and more importantly, the church isn't God. But we often forget that and worship the church, especially whichever church that we choose to attend as if it were. We don't want it to change any more than we want God to change. We like it just the way it is, the way we remember it from our childhood. We don't need to think about it in a deeper way, and we definitely don't have to examine whether or not our understanding of church fits in today's world. Obviously, if it was good for us, it's good for everybody. Right? But if that's the case, then why are churches shrinking? Why are churches in more developed countries losing people at a shocking pace? Well, obviously, to me, at least in part, it's because people are choosing to make other things more important than church. Okay, well, how did that happen? Where did it start? Who allowed it? I want to take a look at the idyllic world that we wish still existed on a Sunday. Just imagine, it's Sunday morning, it's time to get up for church. You get your family together, everyone's wearing their best so that the other church members know how much you care about God. You arrive at the church and sit in your customary pew shoulder to shoulder with the crowd that fills the church up. Oh look, there's Fred and Nancy. Maybe we should invite them over for lunch after church. Oh look, the service is about to start. Let's get focused and settle in for a 1.5 to 2 hour long church service. And then we'll go home to cook lunch for the family, and we'll all sit around the table together and have a meal and talk about our weeks. Remember that? Why did people go home and cook dinner on Sundays? Oh yeah, because stores and restaurants were closed. This is actually what the Sabbath looks like in Israel, by the way, still today. From 5 p.m. Friday evening to 5 p.m. Saturday evening, everything is shut down. It's kind of creepy having grown up without that, but it's pretty cool too. Anyhow, at some point, people decided that it was worth being open on Sunday to make a little extra money. And then people decided it was worth working on Sunday to make a little extra money. And then boom, Sunday dinner died, and there were fewer people at church because some were working. But that wasn't the end of it. Farther down the road, someone decided that the only available time to squeeze in a new sports schedule was on Sundays. And since people already worked and gave up protecting Sunday as a day set aside, people agree. Might as well. And still more people miss church on Sundays because they have children playing sports. And the church shrinks. But who made these decisions? Who allowed them to happen? Church people. We allowed this to happen, and we've done nothing to change it back. We haven't pushed to figure out a different schedule. We've sacrificed more of our church time to the outside world. We've actually given up Wednesday evening youth groups and fellowship. We don't attend extra prayer services. We've actually stifled the relevance of the church in our own lives, willingly. That old 2-hour church service singing 5 hymns and having a 15-minute sermon, that's down to an hour now and hopefully less, with 2 songs and a 20-minute sermon. Maybe 30 minutes if the pastor completely ignores what we want. We have destroyed our own relevance by choosing other things over the church. And because we, the good Christians who follow Jesus, have chosen to allow this, the rest of the world follows our example. And as the church became less relevant to our lives, it became less relevant to the world around us too. Because the church shrank and it couldn't support all of the charities it had started, nonprofit corporations stepped in and filled that gap. Or people who still believe in serving their community start nonprofits of their own because the church either can't support them or won't. And so rather than having communities look to their churches for help when they need it, they look to these other organizations. And church membership shrinks, and the church becomes less relevant. And because the church is doing less, the people don't give as much to the church as they used to, because even though they love the church and desperately want it to stay alive, deep down they already see what's happening and give their money to places that are having an impact. So the church shrinks and becomes even less relevant. Oh my goodness, this is scary. But it's reality also. This is the world we live in, and we have to fight back against it. And the way that we do that is by finding ways to be relevant again. It starts with us. We have to decide that the church means more to us than we've been showing. That church is more than just something we do on Sunday. It shapes our entire week. We adjust our schedules to church, not the other way around. Rather than sitting in the pews thinking about all of the things we have to do after we leave the church and feeling impatient and inattentive, we need to focus on the message that the Holy Spirit is delivering through the pastor, the liturgist, and the music. And then as we recommit to Sunday worship and embrace all of it without wondering what we need to do next, we start working to become relevant to the community around us. If the church has meaning for us beyond just a place to go, then surely it will have meaning for others. Churches are the original nonprofit organizations. Our own Methodist roots are where the Salvation Army comes from. We founded hospitals and orphanages and countless other ministries. Why did we stop? Why did we just let the outside world take over, showing the grace of God to people while the church stood by and watched, happy to take a break, take a nap, and embrace being irrelevant? We can change it, but we have to start now, and it starts with you. What will you do to make God more relevant in your life this week? How will you make the church more relevant in your life this week? And how will you encourage someone else to do the same? Thanks for joining me for this week's Chapel Chat. I'll see you here again next week. Have a great week.